All right, let me. All right, let's try this by itself. This is a skill you need going into setting up the problems to do in Section 11.8. It's identifying what it is that they tell me, writing the equation for what it is they ask me, and then using the two together. So you know in any word problem, the hard part should be setting things up. Once we get it set up, finding the vertexes should be easy as shit. This is just negative b over 2a. Make sure you put the b and the a in the right place. Should be okay after that. It's setting things up that is always the most difficult step. So what is it in this problem here that they tell me? Just directly tell me. I like the way I wrote this. 3 more than twice the base. There you go. The height can't be 3 more than twice the height. That would be a cool triangle. All right, so they tell me the height is 3 more than twice the base. That's what they tell me, just directly. That's information they've given me. They're not asking me anything about that, they just say it. So what is that in, yes?
2b plus 3.
Yeah, so twice the base, 2b. 3 more than that is what? If you want to call it that, let's call it H. I like it. But you can use X and Y, you can use Z and W. You can use happy face and box. It doesn't matter. You just need symbols to represent the stuff. Happy face and box. Yeah, try me on that, and I'll say neat. Normally when I use things that relate to what they are. Me, if it was a sandwich, I wouldn't use S, because my S's look like 5s, but you can go from there. So pretty cool so far. We have to have this skill before today. Just being able to rewrite that like this. Right there. So what is it they ask me about?
Area.
All right, so let's draw this little triangle out. Doesn't matter. It didn't say if it's the right triangle or not. It doesn't matter. Here's the height. Here's the base. H, B. Now what can I immediately write as the area just from this picture? What's the area of that triangle? 1/2 base times height. That is definitely something you should know. Kind of makes sense. Any parallelogram, cut it in half, it makes a triangle. Right? Any parallelogram, cut it in half, it makes a triangle. Parallelogram is base times height, so that every triangle is half base times height. Because it's half of a freaking parallelogram. 1/2 base times height. I like it. And now do you see how this is that same idea I was trying to get you through earlier? How do I use what they tell me in what they ask me? Yeah, I've already got this solved for H, don't I? I mean, they gave it to me that way. So I can just plug this in. I know H is this. So then I can plug it in there. Yes, ma'am.
For the area equals 1/2 base times height, that's because
That is because.
that's the formula.
That is because. It is the formula for the area of a triangle. Please tell me you guys know this.
And for a square, it would just be area equals base times height.
Yes, so I could take a rectangle, let's say. That's base times height, right? That's the area. How to make a triangle, I cut this thing in Half. All right, so any triangle is half of some parallelogram, or some rectangle if you want to keep it all 90-degree angle. Does that make sense by itself? Every triangle is half of some other. If you put another triangle, if you take a triangle, you copy it, turn it over, and put it in there, you make a whole quadrilateral, and that's base times height. So any triangle is 1/2 base times height because it's missing its other half. Oh, maybe. All right, I could draw. Now it would just be base times height, but it's half of that because it's just a triangle. Okay. And then, of course, here I can write this as b squared plus 3/2 of b. That's gross, but oh well, too bad. I could ask you for like the minimum area. Why would this be a minimum? Because this opens up. I'm not going to go that far. I just want to go these first two steps. Tell me, write the equation for what they tell you. Ask me, write the equation for what they ask you, and then use this in this. And then I've got my parabola. I can just do negative b over 2a to find the max or the min, whatever it is they're asking me for. All right. So here, I want you guys to try. Oh, let me do one more example with you. There's a type that is super easy. What's going to worry you is the numbers. Use a freaking calculator, so don't be worried about that stuff. If I told you that the cost of something was negative 0.2x squared plus, let's say, plus 400x minus 10, can you find the max? Well, why is it a maximum? Because this opens down. How do you find the max location? Negative b over 2a. I love it. So what's b? 400. That's 400. So negative 400 over twice a, negative 0.2. The negatives cancel, thank God. So you don't have to make negative things. Well, if we make negative 100, then you're fired, Johnson. Shit. 400 divided by 0.4 would actually be 4,000 divided by 4, so it's 1,000. Or you just plug in the old calculator, let it do it. So that means I have to sell 1,000 things. What would the profit, what would the cost be then? What would the cost be? How do you figure that out? What would the cost be? Just plug that in. I have the cost function staring me in the face. If I know what x is, I plug it in. That you just plug it in your calculator. I don't even care about that stuff. You just put it in. I just want you to know what to do if they ask you. They're going to ask you possibly two questions. How many things do I sell? Or how long should the sides be? And then they're going to ask you also, well, what would the cost be? What would the area be? So you just plug the stuff you just got in. All right. So let me give you this. We're going to do this. We're going to finish up 11.8. But then I want to step back because I forgot we got that one handout from the other day that's still finished, which would be a nice review of stuff we did earlier. Oh, yeah. Okay. Neato. All right. Oh, did everybody get one? Was there extra? No? All right, so you can work together on this or alone, it's up to you. We're going to go over this in a little bit. Let me know if you have questions.
Number one up there. So after you get to that point, you would plug in x equals negative b over.
Yeah, in this case it would be, well, in this case, a good question. Is there any x in here?
No.
No, so we say x because we're so used to x being the variable, but in this case, b would equal negative 3/2 over twice a. Because
Then
b
we
is the
would come
variable.
out with a negative number.
Yeah, it does for that. I wasn't interested in that, to be honest. I didn't care about what happened after it. I wasn't even thinking that far ahead. I just wanted to focus on how you do these.
Oh.
So maybe the question would be different. I don't know. I didn't even care about after that, to be honest.
Okay.
Okay, I was just focused on those steps. Tell me, ask me, and how to use those together.
Okay.
Yeah.